Great seeing both of you. Please describe your fertility journey for us. Why did you decide to go through IVF? How many IVF attempts you went through, and how many embryos were created, and how many children you have through IVF?
So our fertility journey was not easy to start with. We just tried IUIs to begin with, um, and it just was not working. We switched to ICIs and, oh no, we started with ICIs and switched to IUIs. We went through medicated cycles and unmedicated cycles, and nothing was working. So my sister had used a fertility clinic in Denver and she was really, really happy with that. So we decided to stop trying in our local area and saved up our money and went down to Denver. And sorry, you're good. We only had one IVF cycle and ended up with 22 mature eggs. 24. 24. I thought it was 22 mature eggs. Or no, 20. It was a lot. It was a lot. And then of those, we had 14 embryos that made it to day 5 blasts. And they are all still, well, we have 4 children from those.
We did 3 transfers, twins first, and then 2 singletons because we were terrified we'd get twins again.
Yeah.
And so we used up 4 of the embryos and in 3 pregnancies and didn't have any not make it.
We were very fortunate.
And had 10 left over.
Wow, amazing. And did you both carry or just one person carried?
Just me. Just me. I liked being pregnant.
Never wanted to be pregnant.
So what was your motivation? Why did you decide to donate? So you had these remaining embryos. There are several options, things that you could do with them. So why did embryo donation was appealing for you?
Those babies could be in a family somewhere, and do really, really well and be really, really healthy, and you just couldn't throw them away.
Nope.
Absolutely. That's wonderful that you didn't. How did you learn about embryo donation? Did your clinic inform you about this process?
Yes-ish.
We'd heard about it and, like snowflake adoption and all that sort of stuff, but we didn't know a lot about it. And then I started researching and doing a bit, and that was like the on your own way was terrifying, and there's so much to do. And then I just happened to see on like, because YouTube is kind of weird and crazy and knows what you're doing. And it brought up a video of your guys' clinic or whatever you guys do, how you guys do help with the connecting and adoption of embryos and whatnot. And I was like, let's just do this. And then yeah, we looked into that, and that was the easiest, and
it just fit what we were looking for. So that was good.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Do you remember, it's been a while, but do you remember the process that you went through with us, the steps that it took? Could you describe for our donor families who are thinking about donating, sort of how the process looks like, donating through the agency?
It wasn't terribly hard. We did some medical forms for my side since I am the, biological female donation of the embryos.
And we just had to do like a initial interview, which was set up super duper fast, when I sent an email, and then we were given kind of the rundown of what we'd go through, and that was simple. Went through the interview with the psychologist.
Oh yeah, that part.
And just with her checking in to see where we were and making sure we were on the same page of wanting to donate, and making sure we had like the kind of the community, like our family community or the community we've built, kind of to support us and make sure that we were in a good mental state to be donating to other families, because it's a kind of an unknown. And she just wanted to make sure we were kind of ready and had a realistic picture of what it meant. And we passed that with flying colors.
Yes. And then going through the process once we were hooked up with the agency of, getting sent family profiles to look at. And it was really kind of fun to get to see, other people. There are a few times that we just felt so like, well, two times that we felt so super connected to the family profiles that we were just like this feels right. This feels
And it was weird because there were a couple that were sent that we were both like,
there's nothing wrong with this
inherently
family.
wrong with the family or the single parent that was trying to adopt. They just weren't quite the right fit for us. And going forward, because we had some conditional things that we wanted in the families that we were donating to. But it just felt awful every time that we were like, no, that's not quite the right fit. But it was okay to say no. And the choices that we did make in the end were the perfect.
Well, and it was like when we saw the other families, it was like, well, this is why we had to say no, because these are the right people. So,
so because just like psychologist wise, we've done a lot of the reading about how, because we used a sperm donor in the first place, and with our own children, being very open and forthcoming with where they came from and how they were made, and and how that's best practice. And so for us, we wanted to make sure that whatever family we gave these maybe babies to, that they felt on the psychological side of things kind of the same way, where it's like it's not this big reveal when the child is a teenager or older, and right from the get-go they know kind of how they were made, and that they were given with lots of love and understanding that like this is now their family, but we 100% stand behind them in
and we'll help and support if there are any medical needs that come up that they need answers to those questions. And we've actually formed pretty good friendships with the families, and our kids know when a new little donor sibling comes about. And we have one family that we are in contact with, and we send letters back and forth because everybody likes to get mail, and it's very sweet. It's a very sweet situation.
Yeah. So
wonderful. So you were matched with several families. You were matched with two families, that's right?
Well, we had 4 different options, but 2 families that we donated to. Yeah.
And how many kids were born so far?
3.
3
3 little
kids.
girls.
Yeah.
All girls. Oh, 3 little girls. That's wonderful. Oh, that's terrific. And you chose an open donation. You mentioned that you have communication with those families. Can you explain why you decided to have an open donation with those families?
Again, the psychological reason is we wanted the children to have that, if they wanted to connect with us, they absolutely could. And it's kind of at the comfort level of the families. Like, yeah, it's open, but we've really took a step back and let each family kind of decide on their comfort level.
They kind of get to initiate how much or how little they share with us. And
we don't push for anything. We don't ask for much other. I think we said it was like once a year or whatever. Like they're in contact with us way more often than that.
Yes.
But we just kind of let them take the lead on both of them, and one we hear from nearly daily, weekly at least.
Yeah.
And the other one we hear from probably monthly or every other month.
Yeah. And they feel, what I love is that both sets of families really feel comfortable asking us questions about things that we had experienced with our kiddos when they were little. Getting that medical background.
Food allergies. Food allergies and eczema were like the one thing they were like, this is really likely with the babies.
Yes.
Like it just is what it is. But I mean, they're not hard to take care of. But like, the signs and symptoms of that, they'll be like, hey, we've noticed this. And we're like, oh.
Or they'll be like, what worked for, your kiddo when they were going through this.
Yeah. And so it's just really simple. Like, oh, if you're seeing that, definitely go to the doctor and get allergy testing, because that particular one probably does have some.
But we felt the same way when we were getting the sperm donation. Is we wanted to make sure if our kids felt like they wanted to make that familial connection at some point in their lives, it was an option.
Yeah.
And we also have
our kids, our 4.
Yeah.
Wanting to connect with any of the sperm donor siblings
and we have a online Facebook group of different families that use this same sperm donor. And we've met met some of them, and
Mhm.
it's also like I call them dibblings. I don't know what everybody calls them, but donor siblings, and it's just fun to see how they are all similar and how they're different. And
Yeah. So we just want our kiddos also to have that ability to connect with these, because I mean they're technically full
biosibs.
biological siblings. And then there's no like, surprise DNA. We did a DNA test and where did all these people go? Like we don't want anybody to end up with that surprise and shock.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful. And you share that information with the families that you donated embryos to, where they can find half siblings.
yeah,
They're
part
both
of
on those groups too now.
the sperm donor group as well. So and they haven't shared with the sperm donor group that we donated the embryo. So all of those families just assume they got sperm from that, and we again we don't say anything.
Their
It's up to
decision,
them.
not ours.
So like the sperm donor group have no idea that our kids and those three are fully biologically related to each other.
Um, what do you remember? Were there any expenses or costs associated with the donation?
The only costs were like having to get like paperwork signed and notarized, and then that was all reimbursed. We didn't have to pay anything for like getting it shipped to the families, like all that was taken care of. The biggest time consuming thing for us was getting our IVF place to get the paperwork done and
yeah,
it.
make sure that everything was
that
up
was
to date on their end.
Yeah, that was the biggest struggle, was just getting them, because they're not getting paid to do any of that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this weird gray area of, we're wanting to do this. You guys have to help us because you're a clinic, but it's not actually for us.
Yeah.
So they didn't quite feel the rush and the like need to be as on top of things as we wanted them to be.
And we felt so bad for the families waiting because, they also had chosen us too, it was a two-way street, and they had also wanted these little maybe babies, and we're like, I'm so sorry that it's not happening for you as quickly as it should.
So that was,
and that's hard too, because we had gone through,
the wait,
a lot of wait in order to get pregnant the first time, and I know how hard that is, and I didn't want to put them through that, and we didn't have control.
Yeah,
I don't like not having control.
But no, cost wise, it was all covered.
That's wonderful. We just want our families to have realistic expectations and know that it's a process and takes time. And your case, I remember it took us a long time to recover all the medical records from your clinic, and we needed your assistance and help because they didn't talk to us directly. They just wanted to talk to you, their patients. And it's important for families who are about to embark on this journey to realize that this is a process. It might take several months for this or that step. So thank you for sharing this. This is very important for setting realistic expectations about how long the process will take for both donors and recipients. Do you remember what the disposition option did you choose? In the donation contract, we asked the donors to choose what would happen to any embryos that the recipient family will not use, because there is a chance that two left. Mhm.
Yeah, they come back to us.
Okay. So they will,
And
once
then-
they're done building their family, they will return the embryos back to you, and then you'll decide if you want to redonate them to a third family.
Yeah. That was our decision. I don't know, like by the time those families are done, where we'll be at that point. But yeah, that was kind of our like one big thing, was that any leftover embryos would come back to us.
Wonderful. So, what do you wish you knew before embarking on embryo donation journey? Were there any surprises?
Not surprises. For me, like my biggest worry was, how was I going to feel about the babies once they were born? Like, would it feel like they were super duper my kid's siblings, our kid being born? Because you don't know. Like, it's just such a great unknown feeling. Like, we had the best of intentions of what we wanted to say we'd feel.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like, once they came and actually were breathing in little humans, and once it happened, I was like so thankful. No, we couldn't have. Yeah, we made the best choice for us for sure.
Well, that's wonderful. It's such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your story.